again to It's My YouTube, and I'll blog if I want to. The place where the production value is so high that I will do this even though I feel like crap. Anyway, I went through a wonderful adventure in operating systems lately. Well, I decided, alright, I was gonna, go back to Linux, and then, which, by the way, my experience with, Linux, I love Ubuntu and everything else, and, my PlayStation 3 camera, which I'm using now, which looks really weird. It might be lighting. Like Ubuntu 14.04 recognizes PlayStation webcam right out of the box. This is a PlayStation 3 camera that I'm using right now. But it recognizes it right out of the box, no additional installs. I actually had stopped using my my regular microphone, but now I'm using it again, because for some reason, my computer's not recognizing that thing. Excuse me. And so, with the Ubuntu, had things worked out the way that I wanted to with other stuff, I would still be using it, and then I would actually be, still doing all that. But anyway, well, I decided, okay, I'm going to dual boot because I want to use the old console emulators. Because, because I still play PlayStation 2, I still play Nintendo and various other things. And I just don't feel like actually digging out and hooking up, my various systems. And so, okay, fine, I'm going to put the emulators on my computer and use those. Well, come to find out, they really don't have that many good working emulators that, I can get working on Ubuntu. They do have, old system emulators that do work and everything. I just could not get it working correctly. And so I had a Windows VirtualBox. And no, you need a native install. You cannot use a virtual machine simulating Windows to get the emulators working. So I was like, alright, fine. I'm going to partition the hard drive. And with Windows, you can partition your active partition, with no problem. Linux, not so much. So I ended up moving the boot sector, which borked my system. I did install Ubuntu onto the new partition as well, and was able to boot up and recover everything from my original thing. Read up on how to dual boot again because it's been so long. I was like, I couldn't remember the specifics. Come to find out, yes, you have to have Windows on the primary partition, or else it gets unhappy. Whereas Linux is a little bit more laid back. It doesn't care what partition it goes on. Well, I got Windows reinstalled onto my computer, and then was going to put Ubuntu on and let the installer for Ubuntu deal with the actual partitioning and everything else and put everybody where it needed to be, and now the computer won't even recognize a live USB. So at least I've got a working 32-bit Windows Home Premium, where I had 64-bit, but I can't find that disk, and the only installer I was able to find was a 32-bit, which means I've got 4 gigs of memory I can't do a damn thing with. I haven't had coffee yet, which I'm about to go make coffee. I just want to let y'all know that yes, I am still out here. I'm still blogging and everything else. Still working on all my different stuff. But the good thing is about how I have my camera and everything else placed that I'll be able to point it at the desk because I'm working on this is a when I got my soldering kit. When I got my soldering kit, it came with this. And it actually, I mean, because it's been a while since I've done any soldering, and when I did it, it was more of a low temperature welding, I guess is the best way to describe it, because I wasn't actually doing precision work or whatever. It was like I had a couple wires I needed to keep stuck together, or I was using it, basically, like I would do like wire sculptures or whatever else, mostly as frameworks for various things, and so I never really needed to actually, deal with anything. It really didn't even matter how messy it was, whatever else. Like I said, for me, soldering was more of a low temperature welding, and a lot of times I ended up using a wood burner anyway, just basically heat up stuff. Pretty much, by the way, for those of you who don't know, the really only difference between a wood burner and a soldering iron, at least roughly speaking, is the shape of the actual tip. And even that, there are soldering applications in which you would use the same shaped tips as most wood burners. Although, really, mostly basically, like, there's a flat tip, which you commonly would find in wood burners, but they do also have the soldering tips that's used for certain types of applications and all. I don't know really if you use a chisel tip much, but for soldering, you usually use a needle point, or a fine point, whatever you want to call it. And for wood burning, not so much, but you can. But anyway, like I said, basically, pretty much the only differences between soldering and wood burning is the actual shape of the tips, pretty much. And whereas a soldering iron, well, let me see here. A soldering iron has a much shinier tip because of how it's because of the actual like protective coating and like other stuff or whatever. I may end up doing a video actually more about it and all, but basically the way that a soldering iron is, the tip keeps the solder from sticking to, or from, I'm going to end up getting coffee, but basically the only major difference between a soldering gun and a wood burner is, basically the tips. But yeah, like I said, when I was doing soldering, it was basically low temperature welding, and so I just needed to put stuff together and all, and so I basically would use the wood burner. Okay, yeah, I'm also still cleaning up a little bit. I'm in the process of actually getting my workshop set up and all. But anyway, where I started in the first place, this actually gives a lot of, it tells how to prepare the soldering gun, how to replace the tips, and then it actually gives you information about soldering itself. And because of what you're going to be using, it mostly talks about like how to do the LEDs, how to recognize which leg is what, examples of how to hold everything, how to do a good solder joint and all. And okay. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. And so it actually says, you know, how to do and so, there. And so, because of what I was already planning on doing anyway with various other projects and stuff like that, using this, I'll be able to better show what I'm doing and everything and actually start to do stuff. So, and I know a lot of people are like, well, why are you talking about this and everything else? Because if you've been following my damn videos, been talking about how it is that I am actually following through with a lot of the plans that I made. Ow. You know, like the reason why I'm setting up all the different stuff. And I think it might be coming down with a cold or something, but so, and you know, sorry, there's a lot of things going on right now with my niece, my sister, my mom, and all that. You know, so that right now, I just don't really feel like getting into, not because, oh, well, it's too personal to share with my public or whatever. Believe me, you've seen some of the other videos, you know, I don't give a shit about whether something is too personal or whatever else. Well, if I got something to say, I'll say it. It's just, right now, I just really just don't feel like getting into the level of just icky that a lot of that crap is making me feel right now. Mostly also the fact is I really just don't want to end up getting into a rather loud rant about how much it is that I think that my sister needs to fall off the edge of the earth and disappear. No. My sister is such a dark, soul-sucking, emotional vacuum that I'm glad she doesn't know where I live. And I know, and just in case you happen to be watching this, Jennifer, before you happen to come to my house, the reason I told you that, the reason I wasn't going to give you the address is because my wife doesn't want you to know, is because at the time, I didn't want to get into a major conflict, because that conversation we were having while you were calling me from your counselor's office while you were in prison for selling meth, I wanted to find out exactly how much bullshit you were up to. That's the reason why I redirected. The reason why, separate from whether my wife wants to know where our house is or not, I don't want you around. usually have something that, extremely sweet around, because when I start to become angry, it helps me calm down. So, let's just put it this way, Jennifer. You ever even think of coming around me? I will make damn sure that everything and anything that you are up to that you shouldn't be, let's just put it this way, if I ever see you, I will do everything in my power to make sure that they not only put you under the jail, but that jail rots on top of you. They build a new jail. It rots on top of you. They build a third jail, and then everybody goes and lives off-planet and colonizes the asteroid belt while the Earth collapses. And then they build a new fucking jail on top of that. Anyway, I'm gonna go have coffee now. Anyway, thank you for continuing to watch and have a nice day. And as you can tell, yeah, there's a lot of things going on that I don't really get into with you guys. I probably will at some point start to at least explain more of what's going on, so that way when I start these random discussions of things, you at least have some sort of context. But in the meantime, I'm going to go make some coffee now. Anyway, thank you for watching and have a nice day.